Good day, everyone. So let me introduce myself. I am SHIENROSE Embalzado, a third-year student taking up Bachelor of Elementary Education. So someone asked me why did I take up education instead of other courses like psychology, public administration, and accountancy. So it is because I found love at teaching, and I believe that I am called to teach, and teaching as profession provides lots of benefits and privileges compared to other profession. The rights and privileges of teachers in the Philippines. The 1987 Philippine Constitution, the Commonwealth Act No. 578, the RA 4670 known as the Magna Carta for public school teachers are the legal basis for the rights and privileges of Filipino teachers. The 1987 Philippine Constitution, it enhanced the right of teachers to professional advancement, assigned the second highest budgetary priority to education, and ensure that teaching will attract and retain its rightful share of the best available talents through adequate remuneration and other means of job satisfaction and fulfillment. Commonwealth Act No. 578. This law recognizes teachers, professors, and persons charged with the supervision of public or duly recognized private schools, colleges, and universities within the term person in authority. Commonwealth Act No. 578 protects teachers by providing a provision on punishment against any person guilty of assault against teaching personnel, according due respect and protection for teachers who considered person in authority. So the Commonwealth Act No. 578, if any person guilty of assault made directly or indirectly upon supervisor, teacher, or professor will be subjected to penalty or imprisonment ranging from 6 months and 1 day to 60 years and fine from 500 to 1,000 pesos. Next is the RA 4670. This act shall be known as the Magna Carta for public school teachers and shall apply to all public school teachers except those in professorial staff of state colleges and universities. The RA 4670 promote and improve the social and economic status of public school teachers, their living and working condition, their terms of employment, and career prospect. So the RA 4670 signifies that the state through the Congress, through the House of Representatives, the roles of teachers in the society. Hence, they realize the need to have the people who are engaged in teaching profession the rights, privileges that will make their lives comparable or provide teachers to more favorable opportunities than other professions. In the Section 1, the Declaration of Policy, it tries to attract people to take up education and to become eventually teachers. Because teachers are considered as the foundation of society, we would not have doctors, nurses, architects, and so on. That's why Congress gives importance of the rights of the public school teachers. So let's proceed to the rights, privileges, and benefits of teachers. So there are 17 rights, privileges, and benefits the teacher enjoyed in the teaching profession. So first is the consent for transfer. So no teacher shall be transferred without his consent from one station to another. In the exigencies of service which requires the teacher to transfer from one station to another may be affected by the school superintendent who shall notify the teacher concerned and the reasons thereafter. So if the teacher believes there is no justification for the transfer, he may appeal his case to the Director of Public School or the Director of Vocational Education, as the case may be pending his appeal and a decision thereon. His transfer shall be held in abeyance, provided, however, that no transfer whatever shall be made 3 months before any local or national election. Why? It is because teachers has important role during election because they serve as the members of the Board of Election Inspectors to ensure a smooth, clean, and credible election. Next, safeguards a disciplinary procedure. Every teacher shall enjoy equitable safeguards at each stage of any disciplinary procedures. So for example, if you are a public school teacher and you violate any provision in the Code of Ethics, then you can be charged with administrative case. So what is administrative case? This is the case that is filed within the workplace. So if ever there are complaints or case filed against you as a teacher, here are the things you need to remember. First, the right to be informed in the writing of charges. So there should be a letter informing be defended by a representative of his or her choice and or by his or her organization and shall be given adequate time for the preparation of his or her defense. So it means that you have the right to get your own lawyer to defend yourself. There are also people who are assigned to that specific case. That's why there are a committee assigned to handle that certain situation. It is the right of the superintendent to really see to it that fair judgment shall be given. So also, it is important that no publicity shall be given for any disciplinary action being taken against a teacher during the pendency of this case, because it can affect the image of the teacher, his mental health, or what others see about the teaching profession. So it is very crucial not to publicize the result of the case or the information unless the decision is being made final. Next, no discrimination. So there shall be no discrimination whatsoever in entrance to the teaching profession or during its exercise or in the termination of services based on other than professional consideration. So in section 10, it states no discrimination. So whatever your gender, sexual orientation, skin color, you are entitled to be a public school teacher. So everybody is given an opportunity to be a public school teacher. So the section 10 elaborates no discrimination. So you are entitled to be part of the Department of Education. So if you really want to become a public school teacher, then go for it, because whatever the reason you get hired or terminated, it will be based only on the professional consideration. Next, married couples to be employed in the same locality. In RA 4670 Section 11, it states that whenever possible, the proper authorities shall take all steps to enable married couples, both of whom are public school teachers, to be employed in the same locality. So it means that married teachers or couples should be assigned or employed in the same locality, not necessarily the same school. For example, teacher A, which is the wife of teacher B, is assigned or employed in Carmen. Teacher B is also working there. Teacher A is teaching in Carmen National High School, while Teacher B is teaching in Carmen Integrated School. So let's proceed to the next one. Academic freedom. So in section 12, it states that teachers shall enjoy academic freedom in the discharge of their professional duties, particularly with regard to teaching and classroom method. So academic freedom, it refers to the freedom to use the appropriate method that teacher sees fit inside his or her classroom. You have the freedom to facilitate the teaching and learning process in whatever ways you've seen which fits and best for them. But there is a caveat. The caveat is it should be within the box created by the DepEd. Next, not more than 6 hours of actual classroom teaching. In RA 4670 Section 13, it states that any teacher engaged in actual classroom instruction shall not be required to render more than 6 hours of actual classroom teaching a day, which shall be so scheduled as to give him time for the preparation and correction of exercises and other work incidental to his normal teaching duties. So it means that the working hours of a teacher per day are 8 hours. 6 hours is allotted in classroom teaching and 2 hours for other work or administrative work such as checking of exams, modules, and so on. However, if there are exigencies of the service so required, any teacher may be required to render more than 6 hours but not exceeding 8 hours of actual classroom teaching a day, upon payment of additional compensation at the same rate as his regular remuneration plus at least 25% of his basic pay. So the next one is additional compensation. In section 14, it states that notwithstanding any provision of existing law to the contrary, co-curricular and out-of-school activities and any other activities outside of what is defined as normal duties of any teacher shall be paid an additional compensation of at least 25% of his regular remuneration after the teacher has completed at least 6 hours of actual classroom teaching a day. So for example, you are assigned to be a coach of basketball team, dance troupe, or advisor of a school paper, or any additional work assigned to you that is exceed in the working hours you have, then it can be considered as an overtime work. Therefore, if it is performed in excess of 8 hours a day, it shall be paid an additional compensation of at least 25% of your regular remuneration. So there are agencies utilizing the services of teachers, and they shall be paid additional compensation required under this law, such as during elections. There are agencies utilizing the services of teachers, So teachers will be paid by the agency called COMELEC, not the Department of Education. However, education authorities shall refuse to allow the rendition of services of the teachers or other government remuneration provided under this law. Next, salaries comparable to other occupation to ensure teachers are suitable standard for themselves and their families. So in RA 4670 Section 15, it states that teachers' salaries shall correspond to the following criteria. First, they shall compare favorably with those paid in other occupation requiring equivalent or similar qualification, training, and abilities. Second, they shall be such as to ensure teachers a suitable standard of life for themselves and their families. And lastly, they shall be properly graded so as to recognize the fact that certain positions require higher qualification and greater responsibility than others, provided, however, that the general salary scale shall be such that the relation between the lowest and highest salaries paid in the profession will be of reasonable order. Narrowing the salary scale shall be achieved by raising the lower end of the salary scales relative to the upper end. This means that the salary of a teacher should be graded in a certain criteria. The salary grade of any government official or personnel is dependent on a certain salary grade set by the government. So the salary grade of a teacher will depend on his or her position and qualifications. Next, salaries appropriated by local governments not to be less than those paid to teachers of the national government. So in RA 4670 Section 17, it states that the salary scales of teachers whose salaries are appropriated by a city, municipal district, or provincial government shall not be less than those provided for teachers of the national government. So every city or municipality differs from salary grade because there are different costs of living and demands. If you are from a municipality, it is different from those in the city because of some factors like the differences in terms of prices of commodities and the cost of living. So one way or another, the Department of Education should give extra payment so that the salaries of teachers are still at par with the other. So the next one is cost of living allowance. So in Section 18, it states that teachers' salaries shall at the very least keep pace with the rise in the cost of living by the payment of a cost of living allowance, which shall automatically follow changes in the cost of living index. So, there are places that have higher prices in commodities. So, automatically, that depend with the recommendation of the Secretary of Education and the approval of the President, they will receive cost of living allowance, especially if they were under the national government. So, sometimes their LGUs will give cost living allowance to the teachers in their locality. Next, special hardship allowances. So in Section 19, it states that in areas in which teachers are exposed to hardships such as difficulty in commuting to the place of work or other hazards peculiar to the place of employment as determined by the Secretary of Education, they shall be compensated special hardship allowance equivalent to at least 25% of their monthly salary. For example, you are a mobile teacher of ALS or the alternative learning system or a multi-grade teacher assigned in far-flung areas or whatever you are assigned that there is difficulty in commuting or there is hazard, then you are entitled of the special hardship allowance. So next is the prohibition of unauthorized deductions from teachers' salaries. So in Section 21, it states that no person shall make any deduction whatsoever from the salaries of teachers except under specific authority of law authorizing such deduction, provided, however, that upon written authority executed by the teacher concerned. So, authorized deductions such as the GSIS, tax, the pag-ibig, the local dues, and the fees owing to the Philippine Public School Teacher Association and the premiums for insurances are the deduction that are legally authorized. Next, the medical examination. So in RE 4670 Section 22, so it's about the medical examination treatment. So compulsory medical examination shall be provided free of charge for all teachers before they take up teaching and shall be repeated not less than once a year during the teacher's professional life. So the state makes sure that the health of the teacher are well taken care of. That's why in Section 22, it it emphasized that there are not less than once a year teacher will undergo medical examination. I guess it is not only in public school but even in private. Not only in education but also in other jobs, they require medical examination. So if ever during the medical examination you will find out having an illness or disease which something to be treated or needs for hospitalization, will be provided free by the government. If ever you are needed to be treated in other area because the locality or the place that you live in has scarcity of medical facilities, whatever the traveling expenses, the government will also cover that one. Next is the study leave. In section 24, it states in addition to the leave privileges now enjoyed by teachers in the public schools, they shall be entitled to study leave not exceeding 1 school year after 7 years of service. So what if you want to study or pursue your master's degree or doctoral degree, then you are entitled to have a study leave. So during studying or in study leave, you will receive at least 60% of your monthly salary, provided that you should not accumulate more than 1 year. But if there is a need to extend your study leave for a case that your thesis or dissertation are not yet finished, then you may do so with the approval of the Secretary of Education. But you cannot receive any compensation or salary at all. So if you are on the study leave, you must be full loaded with all subjects that you are studying. And you should pass 75% per subject, so your grade should be 75 and up. Next is indefinite leave. So in section 25, it states an indefinite sick leave of absence shall be granted to teachers when the nature of illness demands a long treatment that will exceed 1 year at the least. So if ever a teacher gets sick or will have illness that requires a treatment a year or more than a year or less than that, then the teacher is entitled to have an indefinite sick leave. But still, the teacher will receive his or her salary. So the next one is salary increase upon retirement. So in section 26, it states that public school teachers, having fulfilled the age and service requirements of applicable retirement laws, shall be given one range salary raise upon retirement, which shall be the basis of the computation of the lump sum of the retirement pay and the monthly benefits thereafter. So if the teacher will reach the age of 65 or there is a need to retire, so what is the basis of his or her retirement fee? So, for example, if ever his or her current salary is 20K, let's say for handling grade 10, the next grade 11, 30K according to the Magna Carta. For public school teachers, if you will hire, the basis of your retirement fee must be salary grade higher. So if your current salary is 20K, then the basis of your retirement fee is 30K. Lastly, the freedom to establish or join organization of their choice. So public school teachers shall have the right to freely and without previous authorization both to establish and to join organization of their choosing, whether local or national, to further and defend their interests. So teachers have the freedom to organize. So you have the freedom to freely choose and establish your own organization, whether it's national or local, as long as it will not have any bad effects on you and will not stain your image as a professional teacher. For the generalization, the state recognizes the major roles and contribution of teachers in nurturing future leaders. States gave the right and privileges of the teachers for their noble profession. The RA 4670, also known as the Magna Carta for Public School Teachers, Commonwealth Act No. 578, and the 1987 Philippine Constitution protect the rights of the teachers like the tenure of office, academic freedom, tax relief, and other benefits. These laws serve as the guide to offer protection and freedom, away from threats and termination from the concerned authorities. If you are not aware of this law,